Steve Harris from White Maiden and British Lion. You're listening to Andrew McCaskey from Scars and Guitars.
G'day there. Welcome to the show. It's good to be back. It's been a few weeks or thereabouts, and an opportunity to chat with Jeff Williams from the group Onslaught was just too good to turn down. So I said to my mate John, my good mate John, the agent, let's do it. And I reckon it's not just because of this chat, but this chat is a very good example of it. If I could just talk to blokes from the UK or the USA that are aged between 45 and 55, I think that would be my career. Because these conversations, we can cover so much ground, and it's conversational and it's congenial and it's social, and it's exactly the way that I love to conduct the conversations that make the Scars and Guitars episodes. Jeff's a fantastic fella. So much more we could have talked about, but throughout this chat, well, I should say the catalyst up top is due to an Australian tour. Onslaught are touring in November, and I'll put all relevant information in the episode description. But apart from that, from May 23rd this year, 2025, you can hear their new album, Origins of Aggression. So it's got some covers: Dead Kennedys, The Exploited, Discharge, Priest, Sabbath, much, much more. And it's a bit of a long play. So when they say there's 2 discs, if you're listening to it on Spotify or the streaming services, you might not pick it up. But the first 10 tracks are re-recorded cuts from early in the Onslaught career from 1982 to 1989. So all the bangers from back then and those covers in addition that I just mentioned. All right, so I think I've said everything that I need to say. Here he is, a conversation with Jeff Williams from Onslaught. Here he is.
You all right, fella?
Gotcha. How you going?
Not too bad, sir. How the devil are you, my friend? All good?
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Yeah, this is the first interview I've done in a couple of weeks, actually, so I'm back on the wagon with you, mate. So it's nice to do it with a member of Onslaught.
Fabulous. Thank you, sir.
There you go. How have the conversations been going with us? I know you've had a couple before me.
It's all right, yeah. It's good, yeah. Loving it.
You like doing this sort of thing? I call it the Zoomer grind.
When I know the answers to the questions.
What's the most common question that you get asked?
Well, at the moment with this run is what's the meaning behind the songs? Why is it called Origins of Aggression?
Oh yeah.
Now, obviously, Nigel's been doing the majority of the interviews for this, because obviously he's the original founding member of the band. Mm-hmm. So obviously, in that respect, I have to give a second-hand version of events.
Yeah, gotcha.
I know this. Obviously, I know the story, and I know exactly what's behind what's going on, and I've been obviously in touch with Nige through it all. So it's a proper band, project. But obviously, I have to give a, well, this is what Nige said in the past, so I'm basically relaying.
Yeah. Is that the biggest challenge for you? You've been in the band as long as anybody, but that still means 2006, and obviously Nigel's been in the band since the early 80s, so whatever year it was in the early 80s there. But do you find that answering questions about what happened in the band before your tenure, is that common? You get asked a lot of those questions? Yeah.
Yes, it's a surprisingly large amount, yes.
How do you just handle it by effectively what Nigel's told you about the band and about what the experience is?
I've been in the band long enough to pick up on, stories and what happened. Certainly looking at your guitar collection, what happened in the...
I've got status spaces. Can you see that?
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah. I don't have the battery in. I've got to actually put this thing in, but I've got 3 of them. You're a bassist, and I know you are.
Yes, indeed, sir.
I want to show you this because, this is my 4-string. This is my 4-string status, so see it? It's got the...
That's nice.
It's got
It
the
looks,
lights on it, but I just don't have the you know, just beautiful
yeah,
graphite.
yeah. I've played a couple of those. They're fantastic.
Unbelievable. Down in Colchester. So I don't know whether that's near you, but yeah. But
No. But beautiful bass. 18 volts on that one.
yes. Yep. Yep. And it's Rob made this one for me. White. He doesn't do white, but he did it for me.
Nice.
I was really impressed with him. This is the only 4-string I've got. I play 5-string usually, but you've always got to have a 4-string handy.
Yeah.
So
Any 5-string I've ever had, I've always just put a high C on it.
oh right, okay. Yeah, I'll put this back in. I've been wanting a status. I think Mark King is, there's God and then there's Mark King.
I was just going to say that reminds me of the Mark King model.
Yeah. So Mark King is just, because I sing as well, so Mark King is just the alpha and the omega. I went from guys like John Deacon and then found Mark King and just never went back.
Got you.
Who inspired you? Who are your bass iconoclasts?
It was more. I'm more into visual sort of bases, so it wasn't necessarily people who play well that got me into wanting to play. It was the idea of being in a band rather than being a bassist, So it was people like Nicky Six and Gene Simmons and people like that. But one of my favourite bass players ever is Bootsy Collins.
Yeah,
I think Bootsy is just stunningly good, absolutely staggeringly good.
Yeah,
but, they're just so many. I mean, if you're looking at rock and metal bassists, then Geezer's way up there. But then I love the early AC/DC stuff. Is that the bass playing on that is a lot. It's a lot more solid, and there's a lot more to it than people give it credit for. I think it's fantastic. Yeah,
I've spoken to someone close to that situation in AC/DC about the bass playing, and it's definitely technical. You've got to lock your wrist, and you've got to, it's a mechanical motion, and you've got to have the stamina to keep up with what Malcolm's doing.
Exactly, it's an absolutely rock solid foundation. But then some of the note choices on, a few of the tracks, it's just like that is just the perfect note put in the perfect place, and that's what it's all about. It's I think it's a masterclass in playing for the song. Same with the drums. It's just a rock solid foundation. Without that foundation, you just can't build the rest of the song on it. Brilliant.
What did you think of Ian Hill's playing?
Again, the same, rock solid, perfect for the song. Tonality is perfect for the song. It's great stuff.
Yeah, I always felt he could have done a bit more. I like his stage presence, but I felt I haven't seen them live yet, I'll confess. But what I've heard on YouTube, I can't hear even with there's all sorts of reasons why, but even the professionally recorded stuff, I couldn't really hear that well. It's like as if he's been marginalised, but I don't know that. It's just one of those things that I've picked up, and I just wish I could hear him a bit more.
Okay. No, it's...
is what it is. It's one of those situations where the band have clearly got their sound and they've evolved in the way that they have. And as long as KK is playing, and I know he doesn't play these days, but that version of Priest is the one that I like.
Well, one thing is back the last time that Onslaught played the 70,000 Tons of Metal festival, I took part in the All-Star Jam on that.
Yeah.
And it was a Priest song that we that I had to learn to play. And so I sat down and learned it as I thought it was. I'm trying to remember which song it was. Is it Living After Midnight? It might just be Living After Midnight.
Yeah, that probably would have been a big banger like that on 70,000 Tons.
It was one of those. So anyway, it was. So I was playing it, and then I thought, okay, well, let's check out some tab. And I was massively overplaying it.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so I was following the guitar riff a lot more,
Yeah.
So I took it back to the to what it was, and the whole vibe just changed. it was a lot more laid back. It's just like, and yeah, you could accuse him of underplaying, but it was suddenly the vibe of the song was right. Do you know what I mean? And it went from me playing like a cover of it to something sounding a little more authentic.
That's very astute. Yeah.
Then playing it at the jamming session. It was strange because my fingers wanted to go back to what I was expecting it to be like rather than actually what it was.
Yeah,
it was good fun. Yeah,
I went on 70,000 tons not this year but last year, and I thought overwhelmingly I thought it was very positive and it was a great experience. But not everybody felt that way. What was your experience like?
I think it's a little bit different when you're in a band, because obviously you're there to work.
Yeah.
Primarily. Work. But I enjoyed it. It's not, if I'm completely 100% honest, it's not really my thing. But I had a great time doing it. I enjoyed the shows. It was quite funny this time because we didn't know when we were playing until gone midnight the day before we were due to board. It was Nigel's first gig back in the band for the best part of 4 years, and we were doing the Power from Hell set for the first time, and we arranged a rehearsal on the boat. Just go through some of the last bits and pieces, settle the nerves and all that sort of shit, and I remember saying, okay, the only thing that's going to completely fuck this up is if we're the first band on. Right.
Yeah.
So I was up, jet lag, couldn't sleep, and they released the schedule literally past midnight the day before everybody was going to board, and we were the first band on. It's just like, oh, fuck. So we literally were running around like blew off by setting everything up and all that. But it was great. It was a bit of a baptism of fire, but it was a great experience. But it's a strange setup. I can see why it's massively successful, and I can see why people go back every year, because it's it's addictive, but I think when you're there to work, it's a little, you can't really let yourself go as much as maybe you would have done if you were just there getting fucked up.
Yeah. There were no horror stories, but for example, I spoke to Lena from Infected Rain, and they lost their gear, and then there was scheduling conflicts and issues, and the organisation just wasn't probably what it needed to be, in fairness. And look, yeah. I was on it to do the interviews, and I felt that too. I was waiting around for hours at some point, then heard I was the subject of an email the next day. I mean, I don't know what the hell was going on with a lot of it, but you're in there and you can see them running around and getting stressed out and sweating and stuff, the German organising group. And you're like, is there anything I can do to help, to take a bit of stress off? Because it just doesn't look like they're handling it that easily.
Yeah, I don't know what happened this year, but we got to learn about a lot of things that were going on very late in the day. Like I said, with the scheduling and whatnot, but they treat the bands really well. I love the idea of there being no backstage area as such, and the whole concept of it, I think, is fantastic. But yeah, organisation wise, was a little bit squeaky bum, shall we say? Yeah,
a little bit. Even the way they communicated with me afterwards was odd, and the offer that they made to me, because you still have to pay as a journalist to be on there, but it's at a subsidised rate, and they're I think they try hard, but they could probably do a lot better, to be quite frank, especially considering the scale and the scope of the event and what it costs to, say, get from England or Australia to get to bloody Miami.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. But it's the other thing which was odd this year as well was the announcing the bands. the bands weren't announced literally until a couple of days before setting off. And I think that possibly affected. They say it was sold out. I'm not entirely sure if it was.
Yeah,
but obviously not knowing the bands.
That's right. So you went on this.
That's a part of it.
So you went on 4 months ago. Only four. So did you meet Sarah from Cradle of Filth and Jamie from Dimmu Borgir? Did you catch up with those guys? Sarah's British, by the way, and Jamie's Aussie.
I don't think so. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's
if I did, they didn't introduce themselves as such. Put it that way.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine that they wouldn't. They're pretty normal in inverted commas. So they wouldn't tend to advertise their presence, I would imagine. But I was keen to go this year, but the offer just wasn't there. So I thought, oh well, they must have enough independent journalists going on there for podcasts and all the rest of it. Because it was. I would go on it again, but I've spoken to bands who said that they would never do it again.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, so. But yeah, that's life. It's the biggest concert of its kind anywhere on the high seas as it is, and there's not exactly any problem going to Dominican Republic or Miami. They're both nice places. So anyway, but this year, is this a bit of is it a re-emergence for the band on the stage because you're coming to Australia? I don't think it's your first time coming down to Australia, but the fact that you've done 70,000 tons, well, there you go. So yeah. So you're going to places you haven't been to before.
Yeah, but we always like to every year. We always like to try and get someplace that that the band's never been. And I think the opportunity, obviously, this year's a little different because it's the 40th anniversary of the Power from Hell. So that's the concept of the whole tour schedule this year. We've been doing that album and the Origins of Aggression album, obviously. So it's so it's retrogressive, but for a reason.
Yeah.
We're not doing it because we consider ourselves a nostalgia band, because we're always looking to do new material, new albums, and progress in that way. But because of the historical significance this year, it made sense to go out and promote it as a one-off special sort of event tour, then, if you like. And so that's what we're doing. And again, the first time in Australia, I can't wait, to be honest. I mean, it's I've heard stories about how the folks are in Australia at concerts. So I'm hoping that's gonna transpire then.
Yeah, they're pretty manic. I can tell you. I caught up with Cam Lee and Massacre the other day, and I figured, I looked at the age of the crowd and they're all about our age, and I thought, okay, this will be interesting to see what happens. But no, they were slam dancing. There was a pit circles and all sorts of things, and
yeah.
Average age was about 47. I thought, okay,
we just played a series of shows in Scotland, and the last one in Glasgow in particular.
Yeah,
place packed. Loads of kids there, like late teens. So we started playing it. It was fucking chaos right from the get-go. Absolute old school. I kept on checking my watch. I'm sure it said 1985. It's just like absolute chaos. And all these kids diving and pits and whatever. And then I noticed the people diving started getting older and heftier. Because they obviously went, fuck it, and they started doing it as well. And then that's when the monitors started fucking coming back. And I was chatting to people afterwards, and they said that's the first time I fucking stage dived in the last 20 years.
Wow.
It was absolute fucking chaos. It was superb. But this is what this kind of music does for folks. It's a complete release, isn't it? It's brilliant.
So you got into the band in 2006, and the word, I didn't use the word career lightly, but there is a career associated with a band like Onslaught.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, when you joined the band back then, so that's 20 years ago now anyway, and I may as well say 20 years ago, 19 years, what have you. Did you just get into the band just to see what would happen, or was there a visioning process where you felt that you could continue and start touring on albums like what Iron Maiden did?
No, it's okay. So the reason that I ended up in Onslaught So when Onslaught took the first hiatus, a little time after In Search of Sanity, they took the break. I ended up in a band with Nige called the Power Junkies. The Power Junkies was more of a trad, heavy metal,
like new album thing, I think, from memory. Is that right? Like a new wave of British heavy metal style thing.
No, it was. If anything, it was more. Power Junkies was more like a Skid Row kind of.
Okay.
Like heavy groove metal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in that for a little while. Did some demos and played a few gigs, whatnot. So for reasons, I ended up not being in that band anymore. Nothing. I was playing in another band, and we got a record deal at that point, so I went off and did that. And that band came to nothing. So I pretty much stopped playing.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in a music store in Cardiff, in South Wales, and somebody came in with a poster, an Onslaught poster. They're playing, the wherever it is, someplace in Bristol. I thought, oh fucking hell, Onslaught back together. That's what's going on, So because I didn't stay in touch with Nige because this was like pre-mobile phone, and so I've seen that there's a website on there, and went on the website and noticed that there was an email address. So I just for no reason, I put, well, if you're ever looking for a bassist, let me know. Now, bearing in mind at this point, I hadn't actually played bass live for the best part of 12 years. So literally within hours, I got the reply back saying, "That's funny you should say that, mate." I thought, oh, fuck. So the first thing I had to do was get myself a bass.
Uh-huh.
Buy myself a bass, buy myself an amp, because I was managing a music shop in Cardiff. So made a few calls, got all that sorted out. Sat down and went, fuck, and I'd never ever played with plectrum before. So it was all fingers, so it was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
And listened to some, the stuff and shit. No problems, went to rehearse. And it was on a, like this hut on a top of a mountain just outside of Bristol, literally in arse end of nowhere. Turned up, I measured it. They were hitting about 120 decibels. Wow! When we were rehearsing, it was fucking.
Jeez.
It was crazy, fucking crazy. I loved every fucking second of it. It was superb. So it was never meant to be a career thing. I remember I said at the time, the only time that the only way that I'm going to get back into a band is if they're signed, they're touring, and they're serious. But I've not played bass for 12 years, so that ain't going to happen. So I'll just carry on working in my shop. And then, like I said, so I literally got that text and that pretty much. So I had no intentions of getting back into it, but absolutely no regrets whatsoever that I did. It's been a fucking hell of a journey, mate. It's been fantastic.
Are you still able to do other things, or is the band the full-time commitment?
No, I'm a self-employed graphic artist.
Uh-huh.
And I do most of the artwork for the band, the t-shirt designs, the album covers, and if I didn't do Six, but I did all the all the other images. I did do the covers, but I did all the graphics around that. So basically, when COVID came along, obviously there was that whole lockdown thing. So I decided to go back to university, and I did a master's degree in graphics. Mm-hmm. And then so I do that as a part-time. I work for a Japanese guitar company. I work for Comparison Guitars.
Oh, okay, sweet. All right.
So I work for those lot. I do the social media and then the graphics, and I do a lot of the A&R and that sort of thing as well.
Cool.
So I'm heavily involved with those. Also, I'm one of the directors of a pickup company of hand-wound electric guitar pickups.
Oh, right. Okay.
And the band, so yeah, so that's basically what I do.
Busy schedule.
Yeah, too fucking busy, mate.
And then you get to go on 70,000 tons of metal and come down here. So that's great. Yeah. Hey, I've read a fair bit, and I've more to the point, I've read a fair bit of conjecture about the Neil Turbin episode. Was that as weird as what the Reddit forums have made it out to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything out there that what isn't out there that you want out there about it then? Because I remember
I don't know. I try not to read anything about that chapter. That whole tour was a I wouldn't say a disaster, but it was certainly it wasn't a very positive experience then. And we've been bullshitted all the way before the tour as to how prepared he was for it. Yeah. And then on the first show in New York, it was very, very obvious that he hadn't done any preparation for it whatsoever.
Oh God!
And I just wanted the fucking ground to open up, and and God to strike me down. But there's no God, so he didn't. And that was fucking that. So yeah, it was without pulling up too many fucking details. It was a very long and unpleasant, unenjoyable tour.
So you had to. I'm going off my memory. I haven't done any research. It was just talking to you. I was like, oh yeah, you had the Neil Turbin thing happen, but you actually went ahead with the tour and you had to play with a guy who hadn't learned the set.
Which we only found out on the first day, because he was telling us that he was he'd got the songs down, he'd been working out, been jogging on the fucking beach and yardy fucking and everything was chocolate. We turned up for the first show and he started setting up this karaoke fucking screen with all the lyrics on it, and
oh my God,
oh for fuck's sake, man. And I had no fucking idea of the cues of the lyrics of where he was coming in. So it was fucking horrendous, man. And his attitude, his habits, everything was just Anyway, there we go.
You got to try these things, though. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a case of that. It was the album. Sorry, the album. The tour had been booked, and a lot of money had been spent on sort of visas, and a lot of money had been spent on a lot of preparation for the tour and this, that, and the other. And Si's kid got ill, so he couldn't do the tour. But it was so late the day that if we'd have pulled it, then financially we would have screwed ourselves. But not only that, we would have screwed over a lot of other people as well.
Yeah.
So we did everything that we could to try and make the tour happen, and that was the result.
Do you know much about the history of the band Cradle of Filth?
Yeah, it's quite funny because Danny's a big fan of the band, and I've hung out with him a couple of times, and he's told me a few stories. So yeah,
he's told you a few stories. Well, the ex-members have told me plenty, and a lot about Dan as well. And I'm actually writing the book at the moment. And Paul Ryan, okay. Do you know Paul Ryan at all? He's a promoter there these days and tour manager.
I do know Paul. Yeah.
No, Paul's a fan.
Not very well, but I do know him.
He's a great bloke. He's a very genuine fella, Paul, and he's going to help me with the book. And I've done all the interviews, so it's all and they're all public record. They're all part of my podcast. And but yeah, it's very much that tension of postmodernism about individual truths and unique and perspectives versus there being a single all-encompassing truth, if you like, and the only truth about that band is bloody Danny Field or Danny Davey. That's it.
Yes.
All the other members have come and gone, and Nick Barker and poor old Stu, who's passed away. He died. And the other Les, well, you probably know Les Smith as well. He's a sound guy and tour manager as well in the UK. So I'm got to talk to Paul about getting Les's involvement. That's the clincher for the book to be a success. I really need Les to want to be involved, but to date he's been very hard to get a hold of, and I don't blame him. I know he's got a story to tell, but and he knows what I'm like. I'll get to the bottom of things too, I think. But I just thought, just on our conversation there, that I'll duly edit out, but about Trials and Tribulations of Onslaught. It's I've got fascinating insight into the Cradle of Filth story, and all bands at some level just seem to have a type of turbulence, especially touring bands and bands that are successful in the public eye with a legacy like Onslaught do. It's just so normal, isn't it, to have fluctuations and things not going according to plan?
Yeah, but like I said, it's especially nowadays because you don't have the sort of income, from record sales like that you used to, and finding, so people in the band that can commit to this, to this level of getting out there and playing, playing a tour is mentally draining, it's physically draining, but I love it. It's just fucking great fun, but some people find it very, very difficult. And obviously there's the finances of it. If you're working in a full-time job, trying to fit, unless you've got a very generous employer, trying to fit that around, the touring. With some years we'll make enough money to sustain it, and it'll be like a full-time profession. Other years, like I said, especially during COVID and post-COVID, where the whole industry changed quite significantly. You make enough to make it all worthwhile, but you don't quite make it enough to pay all the bills, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying on that point. Yeah, it's we all love music and all things to do with heavy metal, and I just focus on the music scene in general, but you're literally in the 1% of the 1% if you can make any sort of a living out of music these days.
Yeah, that's right. It's and again the whole thing with going back to COVID, that whole shutdown just I think brought home how nebulous the music business actually is. Especially when where you're at a level where we're touring. Basically is how you make the money from it. You take that away, like certain record sales or stream doesn't pay the bills, not even close.
Onslaught is probably the most high profile British thrash band. Do you feel any pressure of that legacy? Does that mean the legacy in terms of having that?
You've gone all frozy.
Oh, can you hear me? See me?
Yeah.
Do you feel any pressure associated with the legacy of being in Onslaught?
Not until you fucking mentioned it, mate. No, I do. No, I think I enjoy it too much to feel that there's pressure, behind it. I appreciate the legacy of the band. It's fucking incredible. But I think I enjoy being in the band too much to feel any undue pressure in that sense. I certainly felt it when I first joined. The first gig that I played was in Finland, in Oulu in Finland.
Okay.
And again, going back, I hadn't played for 12 years. So being on stage, I didn't even know where to put my fucking feet anymore. It was just like, stood there fucking terrified in front of 12,000 people, my first show. And I looked out and everybody was singing and the mosh pit was going. I thought, fuck, this is a real band.
Yeah.
I'm playing in a real fucking band, but...
That's awesome.
But it was great. My heart was beating like a fucked clock all the way through that show. It's just like Jesus. But it was great, man. I settled in, and it's been a very, very cool journey. But yeah, like I said, I think I enjoy it too much to feel any weight on my shoulders until you just mentioned it.
Has there ever been discussions about some best of British thing, you guys, Venom Inc. and say Raven?
Yeah, we've talked about it lots, and we've wanted to put things together, but it's always a lot more difficult than you think, because you're not talking the number of bands that I've talked to, at festivals, and it's just like, we need to go out and we need to go out and tour because this would be fucking killer, and everybody goes, yeah, fucking right, and then you get involved with the powers that be, and it never happens, because it's not anything to do with the bands.
Yeah,
as with a lot of these things, there are other things, that come with it. We're working on something for next year.
Oh, cool.
That hopefully will be very, very cool indeed. But yeah, it's something that would be great. We've talked about putting on a show in Bristol, maybe sort of like a end of year sort of thing. And we've always got in touch with people, and we've had discussions about it all. We've taken it as far as we can, but it's always, there've always been circumstances or reasons why this never happened. But we shall continue to try to make something. I think it'd be good fun.
What about a bill with, this would work, wouldn't it? What's the Exploited? Have you guys done shows or even tours with Exploited before?
Not Exploited. We played with we played festivals with Discharge.
Uh-huh.
And I think an Onslaught Discharge, because I think I love the Exploited, but I think Discharge have got more of that metal sort of edge,
yeah.
to the music. So but obviously still keeping those awesome sort of punk sensibilities. So I think an Onslaught Discharge tour could be very, very, very cool.
Yeah. Have you met Waddy from Exploited before?
No, I haven't, not personally.
He's a damn good bloke, actually. I'll tell you that now. So I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, I reckon you guys would get along, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a top fella.
Hopefully down the road it'll happen. That'd be great.
Yeah, fingers crossed, yeah. All right, I'll make this my final question for you. Are you going to the Black Sabbath thing that's happening, the Aussie and Black Sabbath's final show?
No. It just doesn't appeal to me, to be perfectly honest. I appreciate it. I appreciate what it's going to do, and without sort of caught in controversy here, I was always more of a Dio fan. So, and as much as I appreciate the legacy of Ozzy, and I think that the bands that are going to be there, it's obviously going to be more of a Live Aid,
yes,
sort of thing. Where bands are going to get on, and it'll be interesting to see how that. How that happens, but I'll be happier watching that at home, sitting on my ass and drinking a cold beer than actually being there, I think.
I tried to get tickets, and it was going to cost me about 15k Australian to get over there, but it was when I've never seen the band with Bill Ward, never had and I elected not to see them when they came out with. Was it Brad Wilk or whoever they came out with on the Rage Against the Machine guy, or Jimmy Clefidos or whoever it was? Yeah, worthy drummer, but I just didn't quite feel right. And same reason I didn't see the Pantera thing that's going around. Nothing against them. I just want to sort of keep my memories intact from where they were. But the final show with Ozzy, to your point, I don't even think he'll be able to get through 5 songs, half a dozen songs.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he actually does anything, to be honest, rather than be wheeled on or brought on a stick or something.
He looks like shit these days, which is understandable. He's completely abused his body in a way that any normal person would be dead by now, but here he is.
Yeah. No, he's definitely completely pickled himself. It's just fucking, and like I said, I appreciate what he's done, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the whole thing pans out, I think.
I don't think it's the end for Tony, though, because I've spoken to Mike Exeter, his engineer, And Mike's another fantastic fellow. He's through the Cradle of Filth stories because he did the engineering and the tech work on the Dusk and Cruelty. And no, he works with him. He gave me the impression that he won't be over until it's over, literally, with Tony. So I hope him and Geezer and maybe Bill do something. And I'm not suggesting get a newer, younger singer, but I'm sure there's who's a singer from Bad Company or whatever. I'm sure somebody like that's available and they can continue on in some way.
Or maybe get Tony Martin back in doing something.
Yeah, I bought that. Have you seen the box set, the one where they've got Forbidden and everything on it?
I've seen it, and I'm very, very interested in making a purchase on that.
Yeah, I'll just show it to you quickly. It's an absolute hurler. This is I'm a huge fan of that era. But that's all of these albums. Can you see all the albums that are on there?
Yeah, man. Headless Cross, what a fucking album. Yeah.
It's a hell of a collection. They did this one so beautifully. It puts to shame some of the other ones I've got. I tell you what, fucking Earache and the garbage that they're putting out these days are really annoying me. I've got to be honest with you, because the Morbid Angel stuff, it's just basically the vinyls. There's no additional liner notes. There's nothing. There's just the album, the vinyl in a box, no remastering, nothing beyond basically what we already own. You just get the box to put on your so I won't pick it up, but yeah, to put in your bookshelf. And but this has got a booklet in it. The pictures and everything. It's got everything, and I really appreciate the way Tony actually bothered to do that, because he didn't have to. He could have left these albums to die, but he's given them new life.
Yeah, and again, which makes me think that maybe there's maybe there's something going on with Mr. Martin in the background. Who knows?
I hope you're right. I hadn't thought about it. I just thought I figured he'd put it to bed for some reason. But Tony Martin, yeah, he can sing. He's a bloody good singer. Yeah, fucking. Yeah, and again, it's and great albums, massively underappreciated albums as well. Which is your favourite one from him, or that he appears on?
Is it Headless Cross that's got Headless Cross on it?
Yeah,
that one. Yeah. That's staggering. But like Tear is great as well.
Tear, Headless Cross. Isn't actually in this, and he explains it is in it. Sorry, is it? There's one of them there's one of them that isn't in it. I can't remember which one it is. It's not. Was there an album in 1992? I can't remember now. But anyway, anybody could look on Encyclopedia Metallium and see it. But Forbidden sounds, the album Forbidden that got that sounds fucking next level on this.
Okay.
The is it the song Shaking Off the Chains? Just crushing in a way. Just crushing. And I didn't think the original was that bad at all, but it's a bit like the Celtic Frost Cold Lake thing. It sort of gets legs and people start pillaring, and then that becomes a narrative that it's a shit album. And I wonder if all of the people that pillar the album have actually bothered to listen to it more than the 30 seconds on YouTube.
Yeah, but this is the thing. This is I was chatting to somebody a little earlier today, and we were talking about vinyl, and the ritual of having vinyl is, I don't know if it was the same for yourself, but back then, because I could only afford to buy like maybe 1 or 2 records a month, so you buy that, you put it on. There maybe were 2 tracks on there that were immediate bangers. They were just like, fuck it, yeah. But because you'd spent your money on it, you'd listen to that album until you liked it, and those deep cut tracks would get in your head, and you'd love that fucking album. Nowadays, you don't get that. It's too instant. It's too, people don't get involved with albums as much as they used to, and unless you're a proper music enthusiast or aficionado, it's too easy just to hit next, and unless it's got an immediate brainworm. A lot of absolutely awesome deep tracks just seem to get completely overlooked nowadays.
You're not wrong. I've got a music show and I do try to play deep cuts for that reason. So I spend time with an album rather than just playing the hits. So, for example, this month I've picked the new album from Behemoth, which named The Shit of God. There you go. And I've picked all of the non-singles, so the ones that don't have videos to share with people. And I honestly, as not a behemoth fan in inverted commas. I'm aware of them and I've known them for years and I've interviewed Adam and all the rest of it. But the deep album cuts don't sound any different or any less catchy than what the singles do for a band like Behemoth. So it's all very flat too, I find, these days. Things don't stand out quite as easily. It's just because it's got a video doesn't mean it's the banger.
No, that's right. Yeah, it's the ones with the videos tend to be the ones that have got the sharper hooks. But that's
correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, no, it's God. There was another question I had for you. I can't remember it now. It's a shame. But no, it's been a great chat. I really appreciate that. I'm fairly non-standard, as you can tell. I've been doing. Man,
it's been cool. I forgot you were fucking filming, to be perfectly honest. So
I'll take out the bit where we talked about the guitarist going anyway. But if you're cool with the rest of it, I'll just put it all out there, mate. People love this sort of stuff. Well,
you go for it, man.
Oh yeah, people love the deep conversations, mate. I've got people. Most of my audience is in your part of the world, Britain or in the US. Oh, there's a dog there. There you go. Corgi.
Hey, no. It's a Pomeranian.
Okay. Yeah, I could just see the side there. Yeah. Oh, there she is. Yeah. There you go. Near Dad's base as well, just like what my dogs do, or cats do, I should say. In my instance.
It's that one is. He's trying to get into bed.
Oh, I see.
That one's Herman.
Oh, okay.
I've got another one who's asleep under the settee called Gomez. So there's a bit of a
nice.
Adam's family monsters. There you go, buddy.
There you go. Got your bed. Yeah, sweet.
Only just given to just on 7 months old. That's all. So.
Oh, good, yeah. Well, I'll hopefully see you when you come out in November anyway. I'll certainly be in the audience.
That's what I was going to ask. If you were coming, that'd be great, yeah. Man.
Yeah, I'll definitely. You're playing at what used to be called the Zoo, but it's Crowbar, I think, or Brightside, one of the two. But I'm in Brisbane, so I'll see you out there anyway. So I know it'll be well attended. There's going to be plenty of people at it, so look forward to that, yeah.
Yes, that's going to be good. It'll be... like I said, we're fully intending on bringing 1985 back to Australia on that one, so it'll be good fun,
mate. You will see them, mate. I don't drink these days, but all the drinkers will be there. Don't worry.
That'll be nice. This is what we want. Cool.
Thanks for the chat, brother. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. Really, really enjoyed it.
Thanks, mate. No worries. See you down here.
Have a good one, man. See you in a bit.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that chat. I hope that's a signature of the show, that have very, very sincere and honest conversations in a way that feels like as though you've just met up with a mate from back in the day, or someone who... Have you all had that experience where you take a long flight somewhere and the person you sit next to is very interesting? Maybe you've got a lot in common, or maybe you don't, but you find that those differences can make for very interesting conversation. I always find that because I am a musician, relating to a musician is very easy. But it's not just that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that would be common across lived experience and a lot of our observations socially, politically, whatever it might be. And it generally just makes for an easier chat when someone's in that age group that I mentioned up top in the introduction, and certainly from the Western hemispheres of the great nations of Great Britain or the United States. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to do this, but I will let you in on a bit of an exclusive if you've listened up to this point. I am going to launch a new podcasting venture. Scars and Guitars is going nowhere, but I am doing something a little bit different. Stay tuned. All right, that's it from me. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of Scars and Guitars. Until the next one, it's a goodbye for now.